Well, I always remember, when I first started at Lord's, the first game I ever did, 1972, for Test Match Special, was in the old box in the Warner stand. And I remember then people like Norman Yardley and Freddie Brown, Jim Swanton did the summary, there was John Arlott, Brian Johnston, obviously. I'm not certain Alan Gibson wasn't there. And also I think Trevor Bailey was there. And then we moved in 1973 to above us, where we're sitting in the committee dining room. We were up in the turret, as it were, above our heads, which was my favorite commentary box all around the world. And like most of us, I was devastated when we had to move, but I quite understand. Everyone wanted the media in one place. But that was wonderful, not least because all the great and the good from the long room came and talked to us, so we could get so many people, on the air, and which I think listeners enjoyed. Whereas now they've got to trek round to the other end of the ground, and obviously it takes 20 minutes, and they don't. But the great matches up there, I really don't know. We've had, there have been so many. I mean, Ian Botham's performances on this ground, 100 runs and 10 wickets more, 12 wickets. He did that 2 or 3 times, didn't he? Pakistan match, I remember that so well. And actually, I remember also commentating on a lot of England defeats here, because they didn't make much sense against Australia for a long time at Lord's, did they? They lost quite a lot of test matches. And then, of course, we moved over there at the end of the last century. I think 99 was probably the first year there, although I'm bad on dates. And although we are much higher, if you look at the pavilion from over there, you think you're just about the same level, but you aren't, you're quite a lot higher. And I think identification becomes a little harder, because you're looking right down. Also, it's harder to tell the pace of the ball, and you don't quite get distances in the way that you do if you're a little bit lower. But then we got used to it. And then, of course, the authorities decided to enlarge the box to make it more comfortable, and say it's absolutely splendid now. And we're in great luxury. Remembering games, I think one of the games I remember upstairs, 94 South Africa. I remember that very well, because I decamped to Skye for 3 years. And then Derry O'Brien-Johnston died in January 94. And after the tests against New Zealand, they felt that they wanted someone to, I think, to liven up the commentary. And Peter Baxter, our producer, took a bit of a punt, against advice, I think, from the BBC too, from some of the senior people, anyway, and got me back. And I remember it very well, because John T. Rhodes was new to England and was tremendously exciting in the field. And I did an entire over. I can't remember who was bowling, but John T. Rhodes, I think it may have been someone like Macmillan, and I did the entire commentary of an over from John T. Rhodes' perspective. I mentioned simply when he was bowling, but I followed Rhodes, and he walked in, walked back, all the things he did. And of course, once or twice he had to chase the ball. And it was I remember that very well indeed. And it's the only time I've done something like that. And of course, South Africa won that test match overwhelmingly, didn't they? But when one thinks of this lovely ground, I also remember, now this takes one back, my first ever appearance here as a player in 1955 in the Eton Harrow match when I was 15. Got a few runs batting at 8 in the first innings. In the second innings, I went in. We needed on the second day to score runs quickly to declare. Things went well, then wickets fell in a clutter. Someone said, get your pads on, get your pads on. Then you're in. I ran down the stairs, out of the long room, and took guard. Rex Neame, a dear old friend of mine who's sadly no longer with us, bowling off breaks. And he was bowling for this end. And I came down, we had a tremendous yahoo, and my off stump went many a mile. And first ball, I departed to the pavilion feeling the size of a snail, to thunderous applause. And I thought, well, I simply can't take my cap off, wave my bat. Having been bowled first ball, I got back. No one wanted to talk to me in the dressing room. Took my pad, we were in the Middlesex dressing room, the England dressing room. Took my pads off, put my blazer on, went round to what was then Q, where my parents were sitting. And as I arrived, my father looked over his shoulder and said, you were a bloody fool to let him get a hat-trick. And it was the first I knew it was a hat-trick, because 2 wickets had fallen quickly, and we were scurrying to get pads on, and I had no idea 2 wickets had fallen in 2 balls.